Welcome back to part 3 of The Truth Behind the Blanchards, where I do a deep dive into Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her mother, Dee Dee Claudinia Blanchard. While you may have heard the story of Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard, you have not heard the story in a sense where everything you know is not true. In fact, within this 3-part series that I've put out, by the end of this, you will realize that there are a lot of things that are true, and there are a lot of things that are untrue, and things that were made to seem like they were different than they actually were. This was a crime that was maniacally planned by a woman, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, to kill her mom simply because she did not want to care for her mom like her mother cared for her. And I hope you guys can see this by the end of this series, and I hope you guys are able to get the evidence that you need in order to see that. Be sure you like, follow, and subscribe. And this is the 3rd part of The Truth Behind the Blanchards. I hope you guys enjoy. Hey everyone, welcome back to my 3rd part of Gypsy Rose Blanchard's The Truth Behind the Blanchards, where we deep dive into the important things that actually matter within this case and why some of us have chose to expose Gypsy Rose Blanchard for exactly who she is, and also to kind of give you guys information on what exactly the case itself and why she doesn't belong online. So welcome back to the 3rd part of this series. I hope you guys enjoy it. I know a lot of people have enjoyed the first 2 parts, and if you guys do, definitely shoot me a follow, leave a comment down below of your thoughts, and let's get into it. Now let's dive deep into the helicopter, quote unquote, mom image that Gypsy tries to portray her mom as. Now, publicly, Gypsy was the frail girl in the wheelchair, but behind the scenes, the reality was very, very different, and that's what I'm going to show you guys. By the time Gypsy was 14 to 16 years old, she was already aware she could walk. In fact, she admitted she would pretend to be slower and younger than she was. But was she truly as sheltered as we thought? Gypsy wasn't just staying home, she was attending sci-fi conventions and traveling, not just for medical reasons, but for fun. And the internet became her biggest escape. As early as 2012, Gypsy used a secret phone to access dating sites. Now, this phone was alleged to be secret. However, would the way things have showed themselves, considering that Dee Dee Blanchard was completely okay with her daughter dating, it most likely wasn't so secret. See, she wasn't just meeting people her own age, she was interacting with men much older, including a 35-year-old man she met at a convention. And that's where we get into the Dan of things. Let's talk a little bit more about that. Now, Gypsy wants to claim that she has been a sheltered person, a sheltered teenager. She hasn't been able to live her teenage dreams, her teenage life. But how? When she was a teenager, not only was she going to conventions well into her young adulthood, she was also going to places like Disneyland, Disney World. We see a video of her and her mother out in Cape Cod for a convention. But at this time, she knew, in fact, that she can walk. And she knew, in fact, that she was acting slow. So the narrative that you guys widely see paints Nicholas Godejohn as the mastermind, but the evidence suggests a whole different dynamic now that we've seen it. Gypsy reportedly had multiple plans to get rid of her mother, Dee Dee. In 2011, she even shot her mother with a BB gun. Though Gypsy claimed she thought it was a real gun at the time or didn't know, she unloaded the full clip into her mother. Then there's the case of Dan. Again, we go into that. A man Gypsy met online and briefly ran away with and talked about going to Arkansas. When Dee Dee found them, Gypsy's age was revealed to Dan, allegedly, and she was brought back home, but it shows a pattern. Gypsy was actively seeking ways long before Nick Godejohn entered the picture. So she was not only seeking another person to kind of play the Nick Godejohn of it all in Dan. That didn't work out. She was planning on running away. That didn't work out because of Dan's past and his criminal convictions. And that didn't work out. So she did try to shoot her mom in 2011 with a BB gun. And again, 2011 is when we found out exactly what her diagnosis was, right?
In Big Bend, rather, this week after authorities say they murdered a woman in Missouri, the story is growing increasingly bizarre.
It turns out Gypsy Blanchard and her mother were in the news before.
And asked him to stab her mother to death so that they could be together.
As the charges against her are detailed, you can hear her sobs.
Stole money from her deceased mother's safe and fled the state of Missouri.
And when she does speak in Waukesha County Court, she sounds like a child.
2103 West Volunteer Way.
But Gypsy Blanchard is an adult. Although authorities aren't sure exactly how old she is, it's likely somewhere between 19 and 23.
I remember my mom had gave me this little glass house, and she said, one day this will be real. And now it finally is.
That's Gypsy 7 years ago, clutching her mother Dee Dee's hand, the woman she's now accused of asking her boyfriend, Nicholas Godejohn, to stab to death.
It's so easy to live here, and it's so peaceful.
The two were interviewed after Habitat for Humanity built them a handicapped accessible home because of Gypsy's disabilities. They said she was confined to a wheelchair.
We have an awesome bathtub. It's a jacuzzi tub meant for my muscles. And we have a wonderful ramp.
And I want to start off with saying things are not always as they appear.
Authorities say the two were lying. You can see Gypsy for yourself walking into court. Now, along with the investigation into Dee Dee's murder, authorities are also looking into what appears to be a financial scheme.
This is a tragic event surrounded by mystery and public deception.
Alleging Gypsy and her mother lied about Gypsy's health to get money and attention.
It just proves that happy endings are not just in fairy tales, they're real and true in real life also.
According to court documents, both Gypsy and her boyfriend say he stabbed Dee Dee after Gypsy asked him to. Investigators say he then mailed the knife to his Wisconsin home so he would not get caught.
Now, when we look at the night that Dee Dee was murdered, the details are absolutely chilling. And Gypsy claims that after she handed gloves, a knife, and some duct tape to Nick when he entered the home, she went into the bathroom and covered her ears and was in the fetal position, giving this innocent type of vibe. However, the forensic evidence does tell a little bit of a different story. Now, even though it doesn't seem there was too much of a struggle, there were 17 stab wounds on Dee Dee's body. And Nick Godejohn, who was a low average IQ and was described by a psychologist as very easy to manipulate, quote unquote, admitted to the crime, but the level of planning involved suggests he wasn't acting alone, as we know. Now, Gypsy claims that she's been helpless and sheltered her whole life, yet the forensic and documented evidence that we now have, thanks to Into the Weeds with the FOIA request, she managed multiple secret Facebook accounts and spoke with numerous different people over these platforms, including a dating page. Handing Nick a knife at the door. Now, evidence shows that there was significant prep and planning, and there doesn't seem to be any duct tape at the scene like she has stated. Now, I think the most striking piece of evidence is the aftermath of what exactly happened when Nicholas Godejohn allegedly murdered Dee Dee Blanchard. They not only stayed in the home for an extended period of time where most likely there was cleaning getting done, but there was also evidence that showed that there was actual sexual intercourse that took place, not just once, but multiple times throughout the home. There was semen found in different spots, including in the room where Dee Dee Blanchard's body was at the time. Now, right next to the bed where Gypsy Rose Blanchard had slept on the bed with her mother. A lot of people say, oh, it's because Nick, had this sexual fantasy about Dee Dee and all this stuff. However, it looks like there's like a makeshift bed in that right there on the floor next to the bed. And that's where semen was found. So it's very enlightening to know that that's what they were doing. Now, after the fact, they called a cab and fled to a motel. And there was no sign of the frail, girl that didn't know what was going on in the camera footage of the motel or the bus station they ended up at, anything like that. We did not see that. And she acted like this up until even today.
I believe there are angels among us, sent down to us from somewhere up above. They come to you and me in our darkest hour.
Hopefully by now you guys can see the lies and the deceit that Gypsy Rose Blanchard herself, aside from her mother, put on the lies and the manipulation in order to not serve so much time in jail. And I hope that you can truly see that this woman was not a child. She was an adult when she planned these murders. This was not a learned behavior. This is a psychopath that continues to do the same thing that she did when she grew up, which was lie, steal, and make people feel sorry for her. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for watching this series. If you guys are interested, I am doing a 4th part into Gypsy Rose Blanchard since she's been out of prison, and how the action she has taken have continued down this same path that she was on before she murdered her mother. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Stay awesome, stay positive, and we'll talk about it next time. Bye, guys.
Hi, honey. I'm feeling it. He's eating a brownie. But later he will be eating me.
Probably the best days of my life. I mean, that's the only way I can describe it. I enjoyed every second of it. From the very beginning, I just knew we were soulmates. Those 5 days where I was actually with her, physically with her, those 5 days were the most intense and magical and inspiring days I've ever had. A little ways down the road, I'd probably end up marrying her and end up having children with her. And to this day, she's the only one that I've ever had that.